It's a huge honor to have Mr. Sanjay Khan with us. His autobiography is coming up, The Best Mistakes of My Life. And Penguin India is projecting it as one of the biggest books of 2018. It's a huge honor to have you on Bollywood Hungama.
Thank you very much.
And sir, if you could please tell us that why have you called your autobiography as The Best Mistakes of My Life?
Intriguing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So, I've kept the title with a justification. The reader will enjoy it. It's not an empty title. A film has a good title and a book also has to have a good title.
Right.
I've written it, I've set my autobiography in a interesting, vivid, descriptive details.
Wow.
So now, read the book and decode the title.
Wow. So it's been a extremely checkered career that you've had, extremely checkered life that you've lived, and as you were telling me that I think especially during partition, your father decided that we have to just be here. And how important do you feel has that decision been for you and for a lot of
It's a major decision because my family was opposed to the creation of Pakistan.
Right.
My grand uncle Sir Mirza Ismail was the erstwhile Prime Minister of Mysore state.
Right.
And he was a contemporary of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. In his conversation with him, I've quoted in my book, he said, Muhammad Ali, you're making a serious mistake by having a wing on the right and a wing on the left. He said, the wing on the right will fall in 25 years. It did fall in 30 years.
Bangladesh.
Yes. Don't break the country, please. Have a say in all India matters.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm just quoting Sir Mirza Ismail. My father was a staunch Gandhian.
Right.
And he was a very great believer in the spirit of Gandhi and secular spirit of India. I remember very vividly my friends, my father's friends, they used to rush in and say, Mr. Khan Sahab, kya hoga hamara? Kahan jayenge hum? My father used to just laugh and say, please, go back to work in your business, take care of your families. Nobody is going anywhere. So this was the spirit we grew up with.
Absolutely. And what an eventful life that you and your family has had and contributed so immensely to this country. I'll just come to this. I read one of your columns that you wrote for a newspaper, I think a year back or something like that, especially when all these protests were happening around Tipu Sultan. Do you find it ironical that he was a hero of the freedom struggle? He was the man who rebuilt the Srirangapatnam temple when the Marathas just try to affect it, just try to break it. And the way he's presented today, you've written a wonderful column, I still remember. Do you find it sad?
It is very unfortunate, very sad indeed, because on every Tipu Sultan birthday celebration, Jayanti, he is attacked with a political motive. This political motive is nothing, it has nothing to do with the great life of Tipu Sultan. It is to take a political position and polarize the Muslim Hindus, to go against, to win a vote. So this I am against. I am totally against this because I am a staunch nationalist. I believe in the pluralistic society of India, which is the glue which is holding the nation together. Such kind of attempts to polarize the people, not only religiously, but also regionally, this will have a very negative effect on the long term. So my message, my ardent message to all those people who propagate this kind of a thing, to refrain from that. Politics must have ethics.
Absolutely.
If you go back in history, I've read Plato, and I've read a lot of Italian, the Latin states. The discourse in the parliament in those days was of very high quality.
Right.
Ethics was in the forefront. Politics was in the back front. For example, if they were discussing anything in parliament, the treasury benches would say, we want to give 5 acres of land to so-and-so plus. The opposition will say, okay, add something more, because they believed in the essence public welfare and regard is the highest law. It was written there in Latin. It says, salus populi est suprema lex. People's welfare and regard is the highest law. So this is one value which has to be added to our politics today. I love my country. I'm extremely proud to be an Indian. When all these things happen, it hurts you badly.
Definitely.
And I've always dreamed of India being one of the four superpowers in this world. Even way back as 20 years ago, my friends in Dubai and internationally in London, I used to beat my chest and say India is going to be one of the biggest superpowers. And once in a party, they say, okay, give us in writing. So I joked and I said, sealed it. I said, I'll open it after 20 years. And it so happened that you've asked me this question. I thought it's quite befitting to answer. His name is Abdul Saleh. He lives in Dubai. He called me a couple of years ago and he said, I've opened the letter as ordered by you on this date, and what you have written is true. India is on the path.
Definitely.
So it is painful. It is painful. So I hope good sense prevails. One Indian has to love and respect another Indian.
Absolutely.
You cannot throw the kachra through the window and close the window and say, my house is clean. Love thy neighbor. It's a very good message. If everyone loves each other, the whole city will love each other.
Wow.
There will be a respect for each other. Right. This country will be on very strong foundations. I have mentioned in my book, The Best Mistakes of My Life, the values we learned. I remember my father telling me, never be late for an appointment. I asked him why. He says, if you are late, then you are insulting the person you're meeting.
Absolutely.
And never wait more than 15 minutes for anybody. I said, why? He says, if you wait more than 15 minutes, you lose your equity.
Wow.
He says, time is valuable. Today, if we only practice time, being in time for the meeting, finishing a project in time, and then that other value which he taught us is keeping your word and commitment. If an Indian learns to keep a commitment and the time factor, these two values can act exponentially for the growth of this country.
Great.
We must be imandar,
Wow.
dildar,
Wow.
give and take. My brother, you're a Hindu, I'm a Muslim, but we are both Indians.
Wow.
We both salute the flag and our country is Zindabad. This is how we have grown up.
Right. And it's ironical that a lot of these people who have raised this ideology, they did not honor the Indian flag for many years. It's only now that
I would not go to that extent because I have never joined any political party. I don't have any affiliation with any political party. But my concern is the future of this country. This is a very bright, intelligent country.
A very young country.
You see, for example, I'm just digressing. I have a big, huge park which I have signed, a theme park celebrating 5,000 years of Indian history, culture and civilization called the Seven Cities Theme Park. It's a 10,000 crore project. It's hanging fire in Lucknow. It has been cleared, signed by the earlier government. I have all the GOs. They have terminated my agreement illegally. I don't understand the wisdom when I have the funds, the investors on board. I've guaranteed 5,000 regular jobs, 12,000 indirect jobs, and the total super infrastructure for tourism. What I'm teaching is 5,000 years of history, culture, civilization.
Right.
Because the British wiped out our psyche, made us grovel like peons. We are still groveling. We are still under that shadow. So by this park, we'll redeem the Indian culture and its true spirit and will bring forth a mindset in the coming generation that we were the land which created the zero and gave it to the world, which transformed the entire economy of the world.
Wow, absolutely.
I'm very stumped but I'm a fighter. I am not going to give it up without a fight. I hope my friends, Mr. Narendra Modi is hearing this, because he had cleared this to do it in Gujarat when he was Chief Minister. I'm on record and I'm saying it on record. I don't know what happened after that. Ever since he's become Prime Minister, I have made many attempts to meet him, call him, but they don't put my calls through. And I have been terminated by the government, the current government. No assignment of any reason, without any reason whatsoever. And they blame that I did not have the funds, which is not true. At one point in time, I even had Subhash Chandra as my partner.
Z.
Yes. And he expressed a lot of interest and he loved the project. Subhash Chandra is a decent and a very good gentleman, good friend of mine. And he was also quite exhausted because they started asking us arbitrarily, hiking the land value from 600 crores to 850 crores to 1025 crores. Each time we approached them for the settlement.
Right. So that.
So this is my story.
In fact, you mentioned about the punctuality part, the commitment part, and I think maybe that was the reason why you had that tragedy of that fire accident, and you were in the hospital, and your wife came in, and you told her that don't worry, we'll start shooting in 2 weeks.
Yes,
was that the commitment?
That is an extraordinary moments which I've captured, very interesting, vivid, descriptive fashion and detail, which I would like the readers to read and enjoy. I have. My book has been, I should say, how do I describe? I have journeyed back into time to those zones when all those greatest events of my life has happened. I was just not an actor with movies and stuff. I had encounters and close contacts and close meetings, surprise adventures. 5 times I escaped the fatal accidents. I have had a huge fan in Iran. He was the warlord during the times of the Shah, and he was a great fan of mine. I have captured that meeting in my book. And there was a huge cocaine kingdom, king or whatever you call it, Kapudi, Kapi in Istanbul, who had seen my film, and he had sent his agents to Russia, where the picture was released in those days. And they came and said, "Sir, we must release this picture in Turkey, in Turkish language." And I gave it away to them. I said, "You do whatever you like." And they had invited me. So there is a very extraordinary chapter of my meeting with the boss of all bosses of the cocaine kingdom.
Wow.
And it is described very well, and it is a true factual story. See, I have been, you see, the true responsibilities of a writer is unlike film. Film is a contribution of several talents. I would call it 18% creative and 82% sweat and commerce.
Wow.
Whereas writing a book is a solitary
Absolutely.
work.
Right.
So you have to tell the story and the facts. And those facts have to be proven. So it's a recorded thing. So it's a real thing. I have captured I can almost feel the aroma of those times in my book.
I'm sure that
I almost feel the voices and sounds of those times.
Definitely.
You know, I become so emotional and exhausted after each time writing a chapter, capturing those days. I used to find it difficult to come out to the present. So I had to shake it off from my head and go back and to go to another zone and write my story.
No, absolutely, sir, definitely. So I'll have to just go back once again to that accident, because I believe the doctors told you that you have a 10%, your wife apparently, that you had a 10% chances of survival.
Rajiv Gandhi, the former Prime Minister of India, I'm very grateful to him because he sent 2 doctors from AIMS and showing concern, and he sent a letter to my wife. And the 2 doctors told my wife before she stepped into my room
Ji.
that my chances were less than 10%. In a situation like that, I admire my wife too much because she walked into my room, not like any ordinary woman would, just crying and screaming and falling on my body and, expressing her grief. She walked in gracefully with a smile and full composure, and I looked at her and my heart leaped with joy. I said, "Don't worry, darling. We'll start shooting in 2 weeks' time."
Right.
She looked at me and I looked at her. Later on, she told me, "The strength of your voice gave me the strength in my heart." And I told her, "The strength in your eyes gave me the strength to say that we'll start shooting in 2 weeks." Not knowing my position then, I believe I was told my head was 3 times my size, a big ball of black wool. They could only see the slits of my eyes.
Must have been tough. Must have been tough for your children.
I'd say, it's quite a...
Must have been tough for your children as well, sir.
Yes, my children suffered the most and my family suffered the most. My children even lost 1 year of school, but they stood very bravely with their mother. My wife, I think she suffered more because looking at me in that position was something which I would never wish to any enemy. So we have gone through tremendous high upheavals in our lives. But I'm a very determined man. I believe in tenacity and courage. I believe that a person who loses heart, he loses the battle. जो आदमी डर जाता है तो मर जाता है. तो God had given me the strength and the spirit. I was lucky, fortunate. How should I say? I wanted to say something anyway. Let's take another question.
Right. So you spoke about tenacity and the fighting spirit, and you came back. You shot for Tipu Sultan, and the fact is that it's, I think, the biggest hit of your life. Many people, I think, they'll always remember you for what you've done with Tipu Sultan. It became a huge hit on television. I still remember.
Yes.
People it was used to just wait for it, and every episode was the grandeur and the production values to just restart from the scratch. That in itself must have been a Herculean task.
It was a challenge because I had the pilot done before my accident. On the first day of our shooting in Mysore, this inferno swallowed 52 of my crewmen who lost their lives. It is a great trauma for me. I made Tipu Sultan when I came back after 13 months, like a phoenix rising from the ashes. I came back to reclaim my life and rebuild it. The saga of the sword was merely interrupted, but never extinguished.
Absolutely.
I completed the film. The details I have captured in my book. Right. The readers would love it. What I'm telling you is the hors d'oeuvres, just the top line. And when I look back, I sometimes feel that the Almighty God has been with me. My Allah has been with me. I strongly believe, I don't know what name you can call the maker of this universe. He has guided me.
Wow.
He has given me, infused the spirit in me.
Wow.
I still remember, which I have captured in the book, when I was taking 4 of my assistants who were badly burnt, and I did not know how badly I was burnt, because perhaps I was looking because I could not look at myself. When the my car turned left outside the studio, I just injected a strong message in my mind. I hope your viewers will carry this and treasure this message. I said, God, my time has not come.
Wow.
I'm not coming.
Wow.
So this is the strength you must fight for. I have given a very vivid description on the first day of my shooting after returning 13 months in the hot sands of the desert in Rajasthan, 55 degrees of heat. And there was, ironically, there was a battle scene which will be shown on the AB on the day of the, I had to ride a horse with about 200 lancers and swordmen behind me. There was a big horse, because I'm a good rider. I loved riding. And there was a big horse of mine, white horse. And he was ready. My duplicate was ready. A thought was going on in my mind. I said, I must do this shot. I must. Otherwise, I'll be running all my life scared. Like a rabbit, helter-skelter, destination unknown.
Wow.
I decided to ride. So when my wife was so concerned, she says, and she knew my resolve. She looked at me and I looked at her. She said, just be careful. Then they helped me mount the horse because I could not mount it myself. I still remember distinctly. My left leg is 50% numb. I could not feel the stirrups. And was wearing gloves with my damaged hand. I was holding the gloves. And they planted this heavy sword in my hand. And this spirited horse was just rearing to go. We saw the flag go up. And then the sound of cannon and we charging out. That was a moment in eternity for me.
Wow.
It was only a 200-meter dash. When I passed the camera, the horse was just heated up and he's wanting to run. And he was challenging because he loved riding. The horses, they get after 200 meters, they want to run. They get exhausted after 2 miles. He was pulling me and I could not pull him with my left leg, injured left hand. I could not keep control. And I had to throw the sword to release my hand to catch hold of the reins. I had to lean on the horse like this and drop the sword so that people who are rushing behind me on horse should not get injured with the sword. I managed to control the horse just before he could go into the bubble trees जो है, जो कांटे वाले पेड़. When I came back, I was sitting, my wife was sitting and writing something. The unit was preparing some other things. I felt my leg was full of blood. I didn't tell anybody anything. I just walked up. I went into my changing room. Changed, called the doctor, bandaged. It was all covered up, the fresh clothes. I was sitting and I was looking at my wife and she smiled back at me. How are you keeping? I said, I'm fine. So this has been written in the book in great detail. And after that, I felt so elated, so strong. Self-respect was injected into my mind and spirit and my body. My strength increased exponentially every day. In a 1 week's time, I was quite active. So this was one of the experiences because I wanted to live. I wanted to go forward. I did not want to be a retired and very helpless man and somebody is holding something. So every day in a man's life, a person's life, a lady's life, or a man's life, challenges come. You must gauge them, analyze it, and you must face it. You must just not skirt it and go around.
Absolutely.
Because that's a battle. Every day you have to fight. Every moment is a battle.
Absolutely.
So if you win a couple of battles, then you can win a war.
Absolutely. So you've been, I think, one of the most good-looking men, I think, not only in India, but maybe in Asia or whatever. How did you deal with the attention that you must have got?
I don't believe you. What is it?
No, sir. The photo is right here.
I know.
The photo is right here.
That was the thing when I was heralded in the press and the public opinion as the most handsome actor on the Indian screen. I used to be very embarrassed, and each time I used to look in the mirror and say, really? So, but my teacher always used to tell me, handsome is what handsome does.
Wow.
So I've carried that message with me. My children also know that. So it's God-given physical looks. I have never shown pride on that. I'm a very humble man. I've tried to do the best I could in those days. And I always will continue my good work.
So you've had some phenomenal songs. As I was telling you a short while back that my personal favorite is मैंने पूछा चांद से कि देखा है कहीं मेरे यार सा हंसी, and Abdullah, and I think outstanding song, I think beautifully written by Anand Bakshi Saab and Rafi Saab has sung it. R.D. Burman's music, I believe. How do you look back at the way you've been portrayed as far as the typical Bollywood hero that we call it, and I think songs are a very essential part of that.
If you're talking about Abdullah had a purposeful story, you know. I've always made films on national integration, communal harmony. We placed it in the desert to have a romantic and very absorbing look and entertaining visuals. And of course, the song Maine Poocha Chand Se has become a super hit, like many of my songs. I'm very happy that I'm still remembered as one of those blockbusters I used to give. My pictures are still remembered.
Right.
So Maine Poocha Chand Se was a good song, well composed. I think it's picturized well. It's very popular. You get to see it on TV every time.
Yeah. Even then, when it released, I think the entire idea of picturization was beautiful. As you said, the desert setting was outstanding.
Yes.
And very simply done.
Yes.
Which is your personal favorite songs of your own?
Rafi Saab sang about almost approximately 60 songs, and if you take out all those songs, all are gems.
Right, absolutely.
And Maine Poocha Chand Se is one of my favorite songs, and Wadiyan Mera Daman, Raaste Mein Meri Raahein, Ae Hasino Naznino.
Wow.
That was also a hit song from Shart, another super hit film of mine. And then in Mela,
Yeah.
Gori ke haath mein chandi ka chhalla.
Wow. Super hit.
So all those songs, very many songs. So it's songs are an important, essential part of a film.
What's your most satisfying work, sir, as an actor in movies?
My portrayal in Tipu Sultan, I did rise beyond and above the script. The ethos I have captured of Tipu Sultan, I am till today, it's remembered as a classic, and people know me as Tipu Sultan more than the 50 odd pictures I've done as a hero.
Right.
So I think my life's best work is under the circumstances I went through, those harrowing experiences I had. In spite of that, I'm very satisfied with Tipu Sultan.
And so, what do you enjoy more, direction or acting?
I enjoy both. See, if you see the range of performances I've done, character roles and comedy or emotion, but unfortunately,
Romantic?
Romantic, of course. You see, if you see a range of my films, I can show you some excerpts. I was free in doing everything. I had everything, and it was funny. In those days, people used to come. One producer says, "Sir, you drive the car?" I said, "Yes." Another producer says, "Sir, do you ride a bike?" I said, "Yes." And one day, "Sir, आपको swimming तो आती होगी?" I said, "Of course." Then one guy comes and says, "Phone, sir, riding करना है, सीख लेंगे?" मैंने कहा, "नहीं आती है मुझे." क्या नहीं आता आपको? क्या नहीं आता आपको? तो मैं, I was very proud because I had learnt all this as I grew up, and it was a great experience.
Right. So, if you could please tell us something about your brothers. They've been equally illustrious. You guys have worked together.
Yes, my brother Feroz Khan has always and is with me, and he was a great man. And some of his movies, marquee movies and songs he has given. And he is responsible for the change of the Western introduction into the Hindi song.
Right.
From his famous picture Qurbani.
Right.
And Dharmatma.
Right.
So he's done some good films, and we've been good brothers, and I miss him.
And I believe Akbar Khan, I think he was in Tipu Sultan. I think he helped
Yeah,
you?
initially Tipu Sultan, he when I was in hospital, and I was no, he did a few episodes in the beginning. He helped me, and he was also with me in the hospital when I was hospitalized at Jaslok Hospital. He was always there, and he's been very helpful. And he's made a very good film called Taj Mahal.
Ji.
So unfortunately, they missed it in the opening and the release, and it suffered a setback. It's a pity. I've seen it 5 times, and I love it so much. It's a wonderful movie he's made.
As you were telling me a short while back that you've known some phenomenal people and they've been instrumental as well as far as your journey is concerned. You spoke about Rafi Saab singing 60 songs for you. So if you can please tell us a few important people of pain.
The man whom I idolize is Raj Kapoor.
Okay.
The first film I saw was Avara.
Wow.
Avara, I was so amazed when I saw Avara. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I sneaked out of the house without anybody's consent with my servant to see this film because my father was against seeing film, and this was my first film, and I was 11 years old. I was so naive about films industry and how it was, the screen. I told my servants I want to meet the actors behind stage, thinking that they're real.
Right.
And my servant was laughing at me. He said, Baba, ye putle hain, putle. So I insisted. Then he took me to the projection room and he asked the projectionist to show me a reel, and he explained things to me. And that day it hit me like a diamond in my head, which crystallized. I said, I must take a career in films. Raj Kapoor's episode of my friendship with him, which has been lifelong, has been illustrated vividly in all descriptive detail of our high points and the tragedy of his passing and his association from a fan to a friend, then a director, till almost like till death do us part.
Definitely. Anyone else that you like to tell us?
Yes, Sanjeev Kumar was my very dear friend. Sunil Dutt was my very great friend. And I have mentioned all these lovely incidents with them in my book. Rajkumar was my friend, but I have not mentioned anything about Rajkumar. I had many friends in the industry. I was a very friendly sort of a guy.
Right.
I never had any grouse to pick with anybody.
Absolutely.
So some of these stars like Sunil Dutt and Dharmendra is my pal. He's a very lovable man. He cried like a child when people came to see me in the hospital. When I was in Jaslok, they thought I was a goner. And the whole stream of cabinet ministers from the center were all lined up in my room, and I was looking at them. I said, oh, I'm coming to see you guys in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time, and so on and so forth. And Dharmendra was crying like a child. He was crying like a child. He said, मैं तेरे साथ हूँ. Sanjay, मैं तेरे साथ हूँ. My brother. Perhaps I had this unique experience. This unique experience of looking at those faces. At that time, it didn't strike me. When I look back, perhaps I was witnessing my own funeral. It looked like I was witnessing my own funeral. I'm dead and they're looking at me in that kind of an expression. That means he's gone, he's not going to come back. This is the last time I'm going to see him.
अभी तो बहुत
I've gone through that too.
बहुत कुछ. So finally, sir, in the present generation, who do you think?
I've got to shake off all these emotional things which come in me.
Sure.
It takes me back to those days. It shakes me.
Right.
Yeah.
So finally, in the present generation, whom do you think are the promising actors that we have today?
Today's industry, in the 70s, we made a base for this. Number one, I'm very happy that the film industry is coming to age with technology and other things, and the quality of films is improving, making is improving, the young talent is improving, but still they have to work on the stories a bit. And they have to take a bolder step, because there is still a lot of I am out of films for quite some time. I've got a lineup of films which I want to start making. I think the industry has a great future. The government has to take cognizance of this and help energize the industry by supporting it. I remember Sanjay Gandhi asking me to give him a paper on the industry because he and I agreed, and he told me, he says, this industry can do great service to the nation. It can plant a flag in every country. The film industry can be a super ambassador of the world.
Absolutely.
And I agree with him. Unfortunately, 7 days earlier, he spoke to me. On the 7th day, I heard he died. So today, I feel I wish he was happy. I wish he was alive to see this industry progressing. And I am a great fan of Hirani. Raju Hirani, a great maker, wonderful human being. And I like also the style of the director of the recent blockbuster historicals, Padmavat. Sanjay Bansali. And some other young directors who are emerging, very, very talented. And I like Karan Johar. He's very talented. Adi. Yes, very, very talented. I like Amir Khan, very talented. And Shah Rukh Khan is okay. He's also doing his thing. But he should be more constructive, I think. Amir Khan is quite focused on what he's doing. Salman is a well-meaning, good Samaritan. I wish him well. And Hrithik, my son-in-law, I still call him my son-in-law because he's the father of my grandchildren.
Absolutely.
And we have very good relations. He loves me, I love him.
Absolutely.
He and his wife's divorce is their matter, their business, it's not mine.
Absolutely.
So I think Hrithik is one of the finest actors on the Indian screen today.
Absolutely.
He is a very intense actor.
Absolutely.
I've seen him prepare, and he's got a big future too. And a new lot of guys coming up. I wish them all well. It'll be difficult to describe in all the names, and I wish them well. And yes, film industry of India is definitely on the right track, but they need support from the government.
Definitely. In fact, the way China's industry is growing, say in terms of screens, the number of screens that they're having, and it's growing exponentially, and the fact is that the business is growing as well. And here, the number of screens is something which is lacking. Right now in Madhya Pradesh, there is a strike going on because of this entire taxation thing. So they have certain. So I think you're right that the government needs to.
See, the government, state governments, central government, they all look at the industry as something to take the juice out of.
Right.
See, they must look at the industry as giving to the world. This sense of realization of what the worth of the industry is by way of super ambassador. The industry can win over the whole world if they are supported. See that millions of people, when our stars go to America or to Europe, they are known.
100%.
Like when we were children, we used to know big names like Marlon Brando and so on and so forth. Now Amir Khan and Shah Rukh Khan and Salman Khan, Hrithik Roshan, they are the household names there.
Absolutely.
Indian flag goes higher. So the government of India has to look at the Indian film industry with a new prism.
Definitely, they should.
They
Amir is
sincerely, then there's state government taxes, and then again politics, and you have to show so many our type of films in this region or that region. It should not be there. It's a free trade. It's a free trade. If you're a free enterprise, restriction, choking kind of systems, you're putting a dog on the leash and don't allow him to go out, what will he do? He just keep barking.
Definitely. Definitely.
So we have to really, really think very carefully, respect the film industry of India. I'm not only talking of Hindi film industry, the Tamil industry is doing well, the Telugu industry is doing well, the Karnataka industry is doing well,
Kannada.
and also the Kerala industry is doing
Malayalam.
well. Malayalam. So We are now almost
Marathi is good.
the
Marathi is-
largest film producing
Marathi is
country
really
in the
good.
world.
Yeah.
I think we are as close to China. I don't know the latest figures. Marathi films are doing well. Recently, I heard that the quality films. I saw some glimpses of it, which makes me very, very proud.
Definitely.
I love Bombay. Bombay gave me my life. I found my dream girl, my job,
Right.
my career. So I love city of Bombay.
So one last question. How crucial is writing for just making any project timeless and memorable? You spoke about Anand Bakshi Saab, that Anand Bakshi Saab wrote quite a few songs
Yes,
for you.
is writing.
So lyrics is one thing, but writing in general.
Writing is, how should I draw a parallel to you? An architect making a design of a building.
Wow.
If structure of the building is bad, the building will fall.
Wow.
The story must have a good structure. I asked David Lean once, it's written in my book about my meeting with him, the famous director of Lawrence of Arabia,
Absolutely.
Dr. Zhivago.
Right.
I asked him, I said, David, tell me, what is a good script? How do you describe it? He says, a good script answers all questions.
Wow.
So this is my answer to you.
Wow.
A good script must answer why this happened, where did it happen, why did this man do this or that woman do that. So how did this story come to this point? And so we have to have the answers. And every script has to have a rhythm. Every scene has to have a rhythm. Every sequence has to have a rhythm. And the rhythm goes up in master macro level to the highest point.
Wow.
This is how the film ends. You build the story and the crisis and then the resolution of the crisis.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
So these are the things which are very important criteria to making films. Now, I am not exhausted. I have told my readers in my book, please don't look at the internet for my age, because I have written a very youthful biography.
Definitely.
Autobiography.
Definitely.
I still have the strength. I think every day when I come to my work and I'm planning on 3-4 scripts, and very soon, God willing, inshallah, that I would like to start production.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's a great news. And in fact, I think we can just go on and on and on. But I think, generally क्या होता है that we tend to interview big stars before a movie, and the movie is good. We want to speak to the stars after the movie as well. So मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि that we had this fascinating conversation with Sanjay Khan साहब today before I've read the book. So once it is launched I think shortly, I'm pretty sure that I would love to have request him that if he can give us some more time after I've read the book, because it looks like, I think Penguin India is projecting it as one of the best books of this year. They're very, very excited about it, and I'm very looking forward to just reading it as well. It's a huge honor talking to you, and a huge learning experience, just listening to your thoughts and such amazing experiences that you've had.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's all we have from Bollywood Hungama. Keep on watching.